Christmas dinner. Let's be honest, we are all a little bit worried about Christmas dinner, and especially we are controlling our calories. Today I'm going to change a little bit the format of what we usually do in this channel, but we're still staying within the healthy range of recipes. Today I want to drive you through a whole recipe, which is going to be a full Christmas dinner, from the turkey with the stuffing to all the side dishes that go with it. And to top it off, I'm going to make the best gravy that you will ever imagine. Also, the way that I'm going to do is, so we are going to start with the thing that takes the longest, which will be the gravy, and by the time that the gravy is finished, all our Christmas dinner will be finished. It's techniques that we use in the kitchens, in the professional kitchens, and I used to use when I was a chef back in the day. I believe that this will show you also that eating nice and healthy doesn't mean that it needs to lack flavor. I promise you that these recipes will have loads and loads of flavors, but still is going to be a very healthy dish. Stay with me, it's going to be a bit longer than usual. Let's get cooking. We start with our gravy. I suggest to do it in the morning, as it takes 8 hours or so. We are using different bones. I'm using about 2 kilos of beef bones, and I'm using also 2 pork feet, as they have very high content in collagen, and that's gonna make our sauce creamy. First, we're gonna rinse our pork feet in running cold water for about 5 minutes or so, and the rest we're gonna bake it in the oven, 180 degrees to 100 degrees. By the time that this is happening, we prepare our vegetables. I'm using 2 onions. Leave the skin on, it's no problem at all, it's for the stock. I'm also using 1 head of garlic, about 2 to 3 carrots, no need to peel or anything, and a small bunch of celery. This is our veggies prepped. After 5 minutes of rinsing the pork feet, I'm gonna give them a boil, and I'm gonna lose that water because that's all the impurities, we don't want that. Strain them, and that's ready there. These are our bones after 30 minutes. I'm gonna add the vegetables on top of them, and I'm gonna roast them for another 15 to 20 minutes. Once they are ready, I will transfer into the pot. And there is a lot of juice in here, that's fat, we don't want that, so we're gonna get rid of that. But as you can see, there is quite a lot of remains on the tray, so we're gonna deglaze that with a bit of wine. I'm using in total 1 liter of wine. So I'm using a little bit on the tray, the rest goes into the pot. That goes back into the oven, so it will soften up. I'm using 130 grams of tomato paste, so it's 1 whole tub. And as you can see, the wine is burning out in the pot. Mix well, add 2 bay leaves, and that should be ready. Scrap it out and put everything into the pot. At this stage, we're gonna fill up the pot with cold water all the way to the top, and the fat will come up, so we have to skim it regularly. Once it starts boiling, also you will see that there is some foam, that we need to get rid of that, and skim throughout the whole process. It should take about 6 to 8 hours from the moment that it starts boiling until it's ready. When it's reduced to half, we're gonna strain it, we keep the dew, and all this we're gonna reduce it again to half. Transfer into a smaller pot, and when we have about 750 milliliters of stock left, as you can see, that's the consistency. I want it a little bit thicker. At this stage I will season, and I'm using 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch with a little bit of water. I'm gonna make a paste. I'm gonna add it little by little into the stock to help thicken it up. Remember to season only at the end, once you try it and you are happy with the consistency. So as you can see, I'm using a whisk. I'm adding little by little, because you don't want to add too much in one go, and after it's very thick and you kind of ruin the gravy. So it's better to go little by little. This stage, it should be the last, so think that 8 hours passed. I'm about to serve the dinner at this point, so the gravy is just ready to be served. This is the nutritional information. The turkey is gonna take us about 3 hours, the whole thing. For this recipe, I'm using 1 breast that is about 1 kilo. and I'm using some cured pancetta. I'm not gonna use all this, I'm gonna use half of it. This is 500 grams of minced pork, 10% fat. The pancetta, as I mentioned, I'm using only half, which is about 75 grams more or less. I get rid of the skin and I'm gonna dice it into small cubes. This is all for the stuffing, so we are preparing the stuffing before we prepare the turkey. So in goes with the rest of the pork loin. I'm adding 70 grams of dry cranberries. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of dry sage, 2 onion caramelized, and this is roasted chestnuts. It's about 200 grams. I'm just crush them with the hands and I put them in. Remember to season with salt and pepper. That's all, and using your hands, work it until it's all completely bind. Now we move on to the breast. I'm gonna butterfly it and we're gonna beat it until we make like a thin layer which we will roll afterwards. So you can see I'm cutting by half. Slowly, you don't want to go all the way through, so go little by little. Now it's butterfly. I'll make a couple of incisions to make sure that it's completely open, but I'm not going all the way through. I change it, I turn it, and the fillet also, I'm butterflying the fillet. So we want to finish it with a little bit of a square. I make a couple of incisions here, as you can see, and that's to help to keep it flat. That's how it looks at the moment, but we need to even it out, and that we will do by using cling film. We're gonna do double wrap because this we will use it later to roll it. We place the turkey breast. I'm gonna use a plastic bag, put it on top, and using a mace or a kitchen hammer, you can hammer it down, or as I'm using here, a pan. Once it's even and flat, as you can see, it's about 1.5 centimeters more or less, or half an inch. I'm going to put the stuffing, making like a sausage. Make sure there is no air pockets in there, so compress it nicely. Don't be shy with the amount that you are using. I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. I'm not putting it exactly at the beginning and nor in the center, as you can see, just in the first half a little bit. This is gonna help us once we start rolling it. Make sure that it's even everywhere, as we try to make it as even as possible. Season with salt, and we're gonna start with the rolling. For the rolling, I'm using the cling film to help me. So I need to make sure that the turkey is sticking to the stuffing, as you can see over here. From here, I'm pulling the cling film out, as I don't want the cling film to go inside of the turkey. So I'm using my fingertips to push the thing in, and I lift the cling film, and I'm repeating this process. As you can see, I'm pressing it down. I want to make sure that it's very, very, very tight. I'm doing exactly the same over here, and this is the last one, and I finish it off. At this stage, I continue doing the same, and I leave the cling film as it is. I want to roll it all the way, trying to get it as tight as possible. And that's ready, that's rolled. Now we need to finish it off. So what we're gonna do is we need to tie the sides, compressing towards the inside as much as possible. We need to have it as compressed as possible, as tight as possible, without any air pockets. If we leave air pockets and it's not very well pressed, what's gonna happen is that once we cut it afterwards, when it's cooked, it's gonna fall apart. So we want to make sure that it's very, very tight. So I'm holding and I roll it. I'm gonna try to tie one side, and as you can see over here, it's a little bit short. I'm helping myself out with a piece of cling film. So you just use a piece of cling film to tie. You do one knot. Now you will be able to do the other side a little bit better. Because it's tight, we can press a little bit harder in there. So pushing towards the inside, make sure there is no air, there's a good tightness, and I'm gonna do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm gonna help myself with a piece of cling film, as it's not enough cling film for me to do enough. We cut the extra cling film from the sides, and that's our first stage. Now we need to make sure that it's a little bit more even and tighter. I'm helping myself with the other hand by pulling the cling film. As you can see, I'm creating tension, and I continue rolling and rolling while creating tension. Very, very important. You will see in the process as we go through that it gets to be a bit more even from the beginning. It's all an even kind of sausage. Also, it's a bit harder, as you can see there is a lot of tension, and that means that it's ready. So I'm gonna finish it off by wrapping it 3-4 times, and that's ready. I'm gonna sous vide it for 1 hour and a half for 75 degrees Celsius. If you don't have a sous vide, you can do it in a pan. Just make sure that the water is between 70 and 80 degrees Celsius and the turkey is not touching the bottom. Wrap it a few more times just in case, and place something at the bottom of the pan to avoid the direct contact with the turkey and the bottom. This is the nutritional information for each portion. For the braised cabbage, I'm using a red cabbage of about 1.2 kilos. I'm gonna cut in half and in quarters, and I'm gonna slice it very thinly. If you have a mandolin, you can use a mandolin. I don't have it at the moment, so I'm just doing it by knife. We are also going to use 2 red onions, which we will also slice the same way. And in a pan with 1 tablespoon of olive oil, I'm gonna sweat them down for 3-4 minutes. I will then add the cabbage and sweating it down for also 2-3 minutes. While that's happening, I'm gonna grate 2 apples. I'm using gala apples, they're a little bit sweet, I like them. And as soon as they're ready, I'm gonna add them also into the cabbage. Sweat that down for about 2-3 more minutes to medium-high heat. Into that, I will add 1 small can of apple cider, close it down and cook it for about 15 minutes. This is what it looks like after cooking for 15 minutes with the lid on. I'm going to add 60 grams of brown sugar, 50 grams of apple cider vinegar, 1 cinnamon stick, 2 star anise, 4 cloves, 2 bay leaves, 1 teaspoon of fresh thyme. Mix it all, mix it well, turn the heat to low medium and cook it until all the liquid evaporates. It should take about 30 to 50 minutes. Once all the liquid evaporates, it is ready and we can keep it with the lid on. And just before we are going to serve it, incorporate a dollop of butter of about 25 to 30 grams, stir it slowly, and that's good to serve. This is the nutritional information. We move on to the side vegetables. I'm using French beans or green beans, however you want to call them, instead of Brussels sprouts because I'm not a big fan of Brussels sprouts. Simple as that. But you can use anything you want. You can cook them exactly the same way. The nutritional value will be exactly the same. For the beans, as you saw there, I just removed the 2 sides. I'm gonna finely slice an onion, peel the carrots, cut the ends. I'm gonna cut them into 1-inch size pieces, more or less. I'm turning them with each cut that I'm making, so it gives a little bit of different shapes. I'm also gonna prepare 6 cloves of garlic and a little bit of thyme. I'm gonna chop everything very finely. I'll keep it on the side. This we're gonna use as we saute the beans later on. I'm gonna finish with a little bit of parsley, which I roll into a cigarette, and this will help me to chop it easier. Make sure you are using a sharp knife to do this. Once ready, that's all our veggies. I'm going to boil the green beans for about 3 minutes. You can do this in advance and cool them down. What I'm doing at the same moment, I'm sweating the onions, garlic and thyme. And once they're ready, I strain them, I put into the pan, and I'm gonna spray 4 to 5 times with the olive oil, season well, mix it well for about 2 minutes or so, and that's ready. You could do this also with Brussels sprouts or any other green vegetable for that matter. Put them on the side. We move on to the carrots. I'm boiling the carrots in salt water for about 5 minutes. Once ready, I'm gonna transfer them in a pan with 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Sweat them a little bit. I will season with salt and pepper. Add 2 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of honey, and I want to caramelize them nicely. Just before I serve them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of tarragon to give this anisey kind of flavor. Toast them nicely, and that's our carrots ready. These are the nutritional information for the beans and carrots. Now we are going to serve. After 2 hours our turkey is ready. At this stage is just after I cook all my vegetables, so I'm ready to serve. So I'm cutting, plating up and serving. So as you can see, it's very juicy and is nicely uncompressed. So this turkey gives us about 6 good portions, and each plate will contain over 60 grams of protein. So very high in protein. I remove the cling film now. It's very nice and juicy, very well compressed as you can see over here. And that's our turkey ready. We just need to plate everything off. We serve with our gravy at the end. If you want the potato recipe that I'm using in this dish, it will be the first link in the description below. This is the nutritional information for this plate, which is just under 800 calories. Thank you very much for watching. Check out my channel for other healthy twist on classic dishes. I have also healthy breakfast, I have also healthy dinner snacks, plenty of other recipes that are very healthy, high in protein. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. It took me quite a while to do this, as you can imagine, it was 12 hours of filming. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.